Hey, how we doing, everybody? Zach Klein here on the Inner Circle podcast. This week on the show, we are joined by one of the most influential and respected journalists in any genre, someone who just happens to dominate the insider game in the National Football League. It is Adam Schefter, who, of course, was a little late to this week's show because he was doing what he does, breaking news. So we start off this week's episode by having fun with Schefty for being a little late and bumping this show for the McAfee Show. Hope you enjoy Adam Schefter on this week's edition of the Inner Circle podcast.
Busy man.
No kicking to the curb in this business. It's just kind of reorganizing things and reshuffling things so we could be here now without an issue.
No issues at all. Welcome to the Inner Circle, man. Much love. We appreciate what you do. Is that the life of Adam Schefter right there? You got to schedule something.
Zach,
and
before
then
we get to that, what's amazing to me is that with all the success that Aaron and Todd have had, that they have to do a podcast here to generate more revenue. What's up with that? Explain that to me.
It's Aaron. He's retired. He's looking for new sources of income.
What's up with that? Honestly, can't you guys sit back and enjoy the fruits of your labor?
Ain't no sitting back.
Says Adam Schefter, who makes like $100 million a year. I love that. And I didn't mean to lowball you. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I ain't no Todd France. I've never sold my business 5 times or whatever it is.
Okay, skip forward. Zach, let's get into it before we start.
All right, now you want to start talking.
We want to talk numbers. We're going to talk
He's
numbers.
He's bringing it, Todd. I love it. He ain't backing down from anybody.
Yep.
What's
Just
the pace,
facts,
man? Yeah, thanks for joining us and spending some time. Is that just a perfect example of the chaos of your life?
Kind of, I guess, yeah. I knew that there had been some conversations, but I wasn't expecting that trade to be made this morning, and then once the trade comes down, I wasn't expecting Pat McAfee to reach out and say, we need you on at 12:05. Like, we had planned to come on here at noon and do this. And so now we're pushed back, 15, 20 minutes, and I appreciate you guys accommodating me. But I guess that is an example of how it works. You could be out to dinner. You could be planning to do something. And as my grandfather always used to say, people make plans and God laughs.
So I got a source. I got a source that said, that told me that you was probably doing some grown-up things at the time and you had to get a phone call. You had to stop what you was doing to handle business. It was my source true about what I heard about that situation? I'm trying to not say too much without saying enough, if you understand what I'm saying.
I think I know what you're talking about, Aaron. Like, someone once asked me,
it was some grown-up time
asked me the strangest spot that I once
Yeah.
Is that
yes.
Yeah, and boy, like, I thought I answered in a very polite, diplomatic way. I said something without saying anything, and the thing went viral. And the great part about that was, my wife is not on social media. She doesn't pay attention to podcasts, nothing. And so somebody saw the comment. They're like, "What's your wife going to say about that?" And I'm like, "She's not going to see it. Like, whatever. It's just a benign comment."
Yeah.
And an hour later, I get a call. Yo, asshole.
I don't want to get it was old. It's old stuff. It's the past. That was old stuff. So we're just bringing up old stuff.
When you're talking about like you got to flip and things happen when you don't expect them, it's the same thing. It's like I don't look at Twitter because I'm like doing it for fun. It's just things become news is constantly. The cycle is constant. You never know when something's happening. And for me, you're trying to break it and stay on top of it. Me, I have to see how it impacts from an agent perspective, how it has a ripple effect. Like, for example, Jalen Waddle goes, boom. I had just signed a receiver from the Cowboys, Jalen Tolbert, to the Dolphins. And the only other receiver on the roster that was legit going to take some reps from him was Waddle. So now he's going to be all fired up about the opportunity opening up. I'm sure they're going to backfill it, whether it be the draft or go sign others, whatever. But it's still a huge piece that isn't there anymore. So everything affects everything. And so it's like you got to stay on top of it.
Well, 2 things that right away. First of all, my first question to you would be, do you have any idea that Jalen Waddle could be dealt when you sign Jalen Tolbert there?
I mean, you do just because you have an assumption of like the roster is not anything and they're moving and trying to build capital and rebuild with the whole new regime. You didn't know if it would happen or when it would happen, and you definitely can't count on it, but you knew it was a possibility.
Okay, and here's my second question. Does Devon Achane now get dealt?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question too.
Right? In fact, let's text somebody and just say...
Let's text someone and find out.
Let's make things happen. I love the fact that AD is already 1 for 1 in his sources. Had a source, confirmed it with Adam, and next thing you know, things are true.
He confirmed without confirming, though. We ain't trying to get him in no trouble. So
he did confirm without confirming. He's a busy man knocking out. I remember talking to one of the best insiders in baseball, Schefty, and I asked him, where his pie of information comes from. And he says, the agent world is the majority. The team side is probably the second tier, and he threw out, the players association and the players themselves. Would that be your biggest pie as well?
First of all, I think the biggest misperception is that there's a pie in general. Like there are different people that you talk to at different times of the year for different reasons. And do agents have an inordinate amount of say and pull and information the week of free agency? Absolutely. Do agents have as much say the week when coaches are being fired and hired? They do have some, but not as much as owners and front offices and coaches themselves. What about in season? What about at the trade deadline? Sometimes agents know, sometimes they don't. I mean, Todd knows this. So I think it's lazy, and I think it's a justification, a rationalization of people to say, oh, the information comes from agents. No, there's no pie. Somebody that does their job the right way is connected to everybody. Can call
100%.
People on every team, can call different agents, can call different players. Like, to just say that it comes that way.
I didn't say it came just that way. I'm just saying a majority of the information
came. There's
came.
that perception, like, oh, an agent texts, and it's just not how it works.
I think you have to have healthy conversations with a lot of people in the league to get a feel for what's going on and the difference of opinions and things. Like, I think like you could have had literally an unsuspecting phone call with someone, but something comes out of that triggers you because of another conversation you had with someone else that makes you go, huh, I wonder if, and then you start going down different paths. You're like trying to put a puzzle together all the time, and you're just using your common sense and things that you think might go down in general, and just things come naturally through conversations. I agree. I mean, do agents and media talk? Sure. But you talk to owners, and you talk to teams, you talk to GMs, you talk to players, just like we do. And everyone's talking to each other, and it's kind of that ebb and flow of information. And you just never know what's going to pop out or when.
And again, there are different people that are more informed at different times of the year. In a free agent week, of course Todd knows when a deal is going to go down for his player. He's doing the deal. Of course, right? But the team might know. A draft, he might have two of the top guys. He might have an idea of where the guy's going to go, but he doesn't truly know where he's going to go. Am I right, Todd?
Mm-hmm.
But a team might know where we're drafting this guy. I could think of so many conversations I've had with teams or coaches or GMs. Like, there was one year where I knew like this one team was taking this one guy. Like, I knew it. And he was just way higher than anybody else. And I didn't share that information with anybody. I was waiting. And it forms a lot of ideas that you have in your mind about things you're saying. If you're talking about where a running back might go or a wide receiver or a quarterback, this guy's going no later than this spot. So that's going to shape how the rest of the round goes. So there's information that comes from all over the place. And, just how it works.
Is it tough for you, Adam? Like, you do have a lot of information, and you do get a lot of accurate information and a lot of accurate information early. But I find you to be you're very good in the fact that you will not be rushed to be first. You want to be rushed to be right. And you've had to hold things in the past, and others don't. And you've built your name, built everything up by being first, by doing a great job and being accurate and all these other things and being reputable and respectable and all those good things. Is it frustrating though when you're holding something because you were doing the right thing and then all of a sudden someone else because there's no accountability with a lot of the people who have, thumbs and phones. And meanwhile, you had it forever and you've been sitting on it because you had it from so many different sources. Is that tough?
Again, it's the job, right? Like, when it comes to the types of situations that you're talking about, Todd, you win some, you lose some. Often it works, sometimes it doesn't. And by the way, like, you may know that these teams are talking about a trade, but there's no need to talk about that because many times things they fall apart anyway. You got to make sure that they're going to happen. So what's the sense in floating these things out there until they're more concrete and that there's a true path to making it happen?
I know it might be hard to quantify, Adam, but what percentage of the information do you know that you actually discuss?
I'll just say this. I mean, there are very, very few things that surprise me that come down. Very few. It does happen every now and then, but most often.
When was the last time?
I was about to say that was the last time.
Well, again, I wasn't expecting the Jalen Waddle trade to be made this morning. I wasn't expecting that this morning. Okay, so this morning.
But you knew it would be traded eventually.
I knew that was out there, but I wasn't expecting it this morning. Whoa, it came together quicker than I expected.
Gotcha.
That's fair, right? And that happens. By the way, and there have been plenty of times I've been waiting on a trade to be made, and then a la Max Crosby, it doesn't go through, right? Or talks break down. So That happens too. It's a fine line. Like it's not a simple thing to navigate, and every situation is different, and you do the best you can.
So what's the hardest part about your job that people don't see?
It's just the relentless nature of it. It just never stops. This morning, it's been an especially busy 10 or so weeks. I even said to my wife on Sunday morning, we sat down. It was Sunday morning. I love watching CBS Sunday Morning. I love watching that show. They do a great job. It's a great show. I love the stories they tell. And I don't get to see the show from basically August through the Super Bowl. And we sat down this past week, and it was Sunday morning, and we're through the free agent week, which that's like finals week of college. You're getting ready for your final exams, and you're just inundated. And I sat down on the couch Sunday, and I said to her, "It's the first time that I feel like a person in months, that I could just sit here." And not to sound like an old time, we had newspaper, the New York Times out, and we're sitting there reading the newspaper and watching CBS Sunday Morning and drinking coffee. Like, wow, so this is what it's like to be a normal person on a Sunday morning, right? And that's not a life that I often get to lead. So when you say what's the toughest part of the job, like, look, I'm a football reporter, so let's not over dramatize this, but I'm out in the field working. Like, there was a moment I had where it was in December or January, I'm crossing the street to go into our office building, and there was a guy wearing a hard hat, construction, and standing in the corner. I mean, the wind was whipping in the city, whipping, and it was freezing, and it was this. And I'm crossing the street to go into the office after getting my coffee, and I said to this guy, I go, "Hey, how long are you working today?" He said, "I'll be here till 5 o'clock." I said, "So it's like 8 hours, right? 9 hours?" He goes, "Yeah." And I said, "Man, this guy's got it. This guy's tougher than me, because I quit. I lasted 5 minutes outside. This guy's going to be out there for an hour." So what are we talking about? There are so many people that have jobs that consume their lives. But this job it's just relentless in its nature. But I think a lot of jobs are.
Yeah, that's
your job's not that way, Zach. Aaron, when you played, your job wasn't that way. Ty, your job.
It's taxing.
Of
Come
course.
with it.
You live the job. You live the job. That's how it is.
But do you, obviously, with that being said, the body of work you putting in, do you love what you do, right? Is there an end goal for you? Like, how long you say, Adam, I'm the top dog, we know all that. I've been doing it for X amount of years. Is there like, okay, I'm starting to come to my end, or you like, I love doing this shit?
Yeah. Well, it's a great question. I love doing what I do. I love the network I work for. I love the people I work with. I'm sure there'll be a time where you don't want to do it, but I like it. I'm having fun. There are times, last week, that's hell week. Like, that's not fun. Like, that's just insanity for a week. But by and large, I love the adrenaline of Sunday morning. I love a big, like, there's nothing that's juicier and gets me going more than a big story. Like game day for you, Aaron, a contract for you, Todd, a big deal. Zach, same thing. We're talking the same language. So, I mean, you love that stuff. I still love it. And here's the other thing. I don't know what else I would do. What else am I going to do?
I got you.
Like, I don't do anything else. I don't garden. I'm not a good golfer. I don't I don't travel very much, so I don't have a whole lot of hobbies and a whole lot of life outside of work. This is what you come to know. And by the way, like, I don't know, that's not great either. Maybe I can find a way to incorporate some balance into what's an imbalanced livelihood. It's why my good friend Woj left. Like, he was done. He's like, I'm done. Waiting in the shower for Todd to text me back that the trade's on, the deal's like, he didn't want to do that anymore. And I understand that, but I don't know what else I do, and I have bills to pay.
Same thing with me. Like, at least I get to go, part of my job is I'm watching football practice if it's an all-star game or whatever it might be. It's not sitting at a desk. But at the end of the day, you still have to, you're still a dad, you're still a husband, and finding that balance is never easy. And that's probably the biggest struggle is the drive is going to be there and it consumes you, but finding the balance to be there for everyone else and be present, because your mind is not always in the moment. Your mind is what's happening, or is this happening? You're trying to listen to your wife and you're trying to pay attention to your daughter and all these different things.
Can't turn it off.
That's the tough thing for me, because it's just never ending.
By the way, how about this? Like, it was 2 weeks ago. It was Friday night. It was about 6:30. I said to my wife, we have 2 sick dogs. We lost one of our dogs last week.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. And they're like our babies. They're like our kids. But the point is, we were sitting on a Friday night, and I said to her, "You want to watch a movie tonight?" Because I just figured that'd be it. She goes, maybe, but I don't want to watch it with you because you're just going to get phone calls and get interrupted. And I'm like, no. We're not there. That's next week. We're not there yet. It'll be a quiet Friday. You could pick a movie. She goes, you're going to get phone calls. I said, okay. She went upstairs. I'm downstairs. Long story short, 90 minutes later, Max Crosby traded to the Baltimore Ravens. Now, I was dealing with that, right after we spoke. And so, once again, My wife was right. I would have been annoying. She would have been disappointed. She called it off before it even began. She understands what it's like, and this is the life that we've all chosen. Again, it's not a complaint. It's just what it is. Like, it's a Friday night. Most people have left work. They're out to dinner. They're at happy hour. They're having drinks. They're going to the movies, whatever they want to do. These jobs don't know that because there are 32 entities out there that operate whenever they want to operate. They operate on Friday nights. They operate on Saturday mornings. They operate Sunday afternoons. They operate on holidays. They operate in the middle of the night. It doesn't matter. Okay, when they operate, you have to operate. And there's 32 of them. 32 of them. So you could be on the Peloton trying to get in your first Peloton ride in a couple of weeks because of free agency, and Jalen Waddle could be traded to the Broncos. Just the way it is.
It's the life you chose, Adam.
That's it. It's what he chose. You were a beat writer for the Broncos back in the day, so you understand where my lens is coming from, being that hyper local focus: Falcons, Braves, Hawks, at Georgia Tech, etc. And you mentioned you got 32 teams that you got to worry about. So while my relationships are hyper local, you have coast to coast for everybody that touches these teams. So how do you know? Is it based on relationships, Adam, when a story is real versus being kind of told to you for leverage?
Yeah, Zach, I don't view it like that. Like, I've done this job for 36 years, and I'm sure there are times when people are trying to leverage you, but I try to think, and maybe I'm naive here, that I'm dealing with people that I've had long-standing professional relationships with.
It's relationships.
And I don't think they're trying to use you. Like, I'm sure there are times that happens. It'd be naive to think it doesn't. But I just think by and large that we're dealing in the truth. Like, there might be something that I might be able to help with. There might be something I might not be able to help with. Like, what's the deal? I just don't view it like that. Like, you're being leveraged. It makes it sound like it's dirty and more sinister and more calculating than it actually is, I think.
That's fair, for sure. I mean, it's
just... This shit could be a dirty business. This shit's a dirty business. It can be. I'm pretty sure somebody potentially did that. We don't know who, but I'm just saying it's a dirty business.
Of course, I remember one time. I remember one time a team told me, "Hey, we're going to visit with this quarterback. Do you mind putting it out there?" I'm like, "You want it out there that you're visiting with this quarterback?" They're like, "Yeah, we're not going to take him, but you could say he's visiting." I'm like, "Okay." Well, they took him. 2 weeks later, they took him, and I'm like, I thought you said you weren't. I know, but you know what? The guy came in. We really liked him, and when he was sitting where he was, it was a great value. So, and that's my point. These things change all the time. Like, teams change their minds. Situations change. You could be having trade talks that don't materialize.
That's the hardest part of the job, is that it happens in real time. When you and I started this thing back, 20, 30 years ago, we waited for the 6 o'clock news, the 11 o'clock news, or you read about it in the morning newspaper, and you had time to advance the story throughout the day before it was finally published. Now the shit's going down by seconds, right?
Right. Yeah. We're getting play-by-play of trade talks, of contract negotiations. And sometimes they happen and sometimes they don't. And that's why, like, if I'm going to report on, like, it's going to be serious. It's going to be on a path to happening. It's going to be, I don't want to get into, they made an offer and now they're countering. And, like, we'll be there hopefully, when the deal's getting done, when the trade's getting close, when the parts are coming together. Before then, it's already a lot. We don't need to get into that world, in my mind. I think
the most difficult thing of your job, Adam, is the balancing of the information and the relationships and the trustworthiness that you have to have, that people have to have in you. You burn somebody, that source is gone, and your business thrives on sources and the word earlier was relationships. And I think that is you can't teach that. It's just a personality. Obviously you can earn it over time, but it's something you can't teach, to know how to navigate that path, talking to two different parties unrelated, but to the same situation without divulging and without compromising what the end goal is not an easy thing to do.
No, there are all sorts of difficulties and challenging spots. And part of the problem is that there are more people vying for this information, and the information is getting out faster than ever before. It's, again, we go back to the earlier times where you get a story and it would be published in the next morning's newspaper 7, 8, 9 hours later. Like, that's not the world we're living and operating in right now. It's a totally different world. Stuff happens in real time. It's a matter of seconds. So, Jalen Waddle trade could come in, and that people are going to have it, like, in moments. So you got to go right now. And you can't be in the shower. It's just, it's crazy. It's crazy.
So what you saying, Adam? You don't get time to wash your ass?
We try to do that. We try to make sure we're clean, Aaron.
Okay, just checking.
We try to make sure we're clean. Always.
Do you remember breaking the Aaron Donald story when his last contract?
His last contract, I remember there was a time he had a big holdout, and I do remember
we
2
don't
years back-to-back holdouts.
Yeah, and I remember there was a time that he ended his holdout in late August, and I do remember I was in Michigan taking my son to college, and I was trying to move him in, and it was the same day I think like Teddy Bridgewater was traded somewhere, and it was happening as we're trying to move him into the, and that's what I'm talking about. We're trying to move my son into the dorm. You think like it's a big deal. It's an emotional time. And we got Aaron Donald reporting back to camp. We got to get on that. You're screwing my time. You didn't consult with me on the time that you could do that, Aaron. Come on.
Not bad, man. That's my bad. Hectic times, man. Hectic times.
Yeah, that's it. But that's the thing. Like, there's always like an Aaron Donald reporting or a Teddy Bridgewater being traded or something. It's just amazing, and it really does. It takes over a large part of your life. I guess I think to do any job the right way. I think whether it's in finance or law or education or government or whatever you want to. I think to do any job the right way, you have to live that job.
Yeah.
And
won't consume you.
Here's the thing. You don't have to live it, but
it's not going to be good.
Well, that's the difference from good and great. That's the difference from good and great, right? And
I mean,
you gotta be all the way in it, committed to it.
Yeah, to be as good as you could be in any job, you got to live it.
Correct.
If you don't want to live it, no problem. Like you could go do a 9-to-5 job. That's great. I just can't imagine that anybody could be as great as they could be if they're just not immersed in it at all. Mm-hmm. And by the way, it's not a great thing to be like that either. I'm not saying that's
it's a gift and a curse. It's a gift and a curse.
It's a blessing and a burden.
Yes,
it's a blessing and a burden.
Correct.
Complete this sentence for me. If Twitter didn't exist,
it's called X now.
Yeah,
sorry.
Exactly.
If X did not exist,
yeah, that was probably the game changer. And I think that what's so amazing to me now that I think about it is I left NFL Network to join ESPN in 2009, in the spring of 2009, some 17 years ago. When ESPN hired me, X and Twitter, I did not have an X and Twitter account. It was just underway. So they hired me without an X and Twitter account. I just can't even believe that's how different the world was when I got hired at ESPN. So to complete the sentences, what was the question, Zach, that I have to answer?
Just complete it. Yeah. If Twitter did not exist, ...
He wants to say life would be a lot more enjoyable, but he can't because...
No,
life would be
here's the problem. Here's the problem. Then we'd be posting on Instagram or Facebook or Threads, or
if social media didn't exist.
It'd be a different social. Yeah, there you go. Social media.
Social media didn't exist. By the way, if social media didn't exist, our kids would be a lot healthier. Their mental health would be better. The country would be stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And so, social media is great in many ways, and it's incredible the information that's at your disposal at the tip of your fingers. But in a way, it's been a huge setback to many people.
Adam, what's more difficult covering and figuring out, the draft season or free agency? Obviously, draft season is a lot longer, and there's so many different possibilities, and free agency is a quicker hit.
What's interesting to me, I've always said this to people, there are I always said there were three times in my year that I just, you don't want to be around me. Number one was...
I love being around you during all these times.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Up to free agency and during free, the 2-3 week period then.
Yeah, for sure.
That was always number one. Number two, I would always say is at the end of the regular season when coaches are being fired and hired and the playoffs are starting and we've got pregame shows Saturday, Sunday, sometimes Mondays. Instead of having just one pregame show week, you got pregame show Saturday and Sunday. So 2 or 3 times the work, not to mention all the firings and hirings. That's crazy. And then the draft. Those are the 3 times of the year peak periods. But I actually really think now, and I can't even believe a fourth has creeped into the conversation, but it has. The NFL trade deadline. In recent years, that's been crazy. That day, it's like a day of free agency. And leading up to it is the same kind of thing with all the rumors and trades that are going down.
Yeah,
so now
it's not even about the end result. Some of the stuff might not even happen, but you're still working and
So to me that we'll just say the 2 weeks leading up to the trade deadline, that has become to me as significant and as overwhelming as those other 3 periods are. The draft, to me, of the 4, the draft is easily the most pleasant because very few people are going to really tell you the God's honest truth. Like, oh yeah, they're very. I like it when they do because their secrets are safer. So like when these other teams are calling, hey, what do you hear this team's doing? If they're being honest, I'll be like, hey, I could see them being in the safety market. I could see them being a linebacker, but I won't be like, oh, they're taking Kyle Hamilton. I'm making this up. And whereas if a team says we're taking Kyle Hamilton, we love this guy, I would never share that. I would never share that. But if they don't, all fair and game. But the bottom line is the draft, it's a lot of speculation. It's a lot of conjecture. It's a lot of wondering. And by the way, like a teammate planned to take this guy and he goes anyway. No one knows exactly how it's going to go. So the draft of the 4 NFL reporting milestones in my mind, the draft is the easiest and most pleasant by far. The other 3, free agency's a beast.
I was about to say free agency got to be the first one.
Yeah, free agency is a beast. And I think the trade deadline is now second. And then firings and hirings. Because you know who's going to get fired and hired. Although all of a sudden you get a firing 3 days later. Whoa, I didn't know they were firing that guy. Whoa. So that happens too. It's all. And with the NFL, everything's a big deal because so many people love it and care about it. So that's the other part. So it could be March 17th, we're taping this, and things might be slower and quieter a little bit, and we're getting ready for the NCAA tournament and the baseball championship and spring training and everything else that's going on in the world. But if Jalen Waddle gets traded because that's a trade, that's the biggest thing when that happens. Just like next month, if there's a big thing, some team signs Brandon Aubrey to an offer sheet that the Dallas Cowboys aren't going to match, and they pay Brandon Aubrey $10 million a year, as I think that they should, right? That becomes the biggest thing on that day, the biggest thing, because everything in the NFL is the biggest thing when it happens until the next thing comes along, and then that's the biggest thing.
You work for the most dominant sports network in our country, covering the most dominant sport in our country, and you have earned the right to ask for certain things. I know you covered the NBA back in 2017, doing some sideline stuff, which I'm sure was a thrill for you.
Love that.
So if you were to go to what do you want to do? Is there anything out there that you have not done that at your point of your career, Adam, that you would like to cross off that journalistic bucket list?
No, I we have the Super Bowl this year, which will be exciting. So I get to work on a Super Bowl broadcast in LA. Look forward to that. But I don't think about it like that, Zach. It's not like I aspire to go do something like go cover the Masters or go cover the Olympics or I don't like whatever you want me to do. I'm happy to be included. I think that's the biggest thing is that when people include me and I'm a part of something, I love to be a part of a team, feel a part of a team. Like, our Sunday countdown team. I love hanging with those people. We do the show on Sunday. We watch all the games together. We bring in food. It's our version of having a professional locker room, I guess, right? Like, you love that.
But knowing your work ethic, if you go all in on something, you could be the quarterback of a show where you are now, anchoring ESPN's coverage of a Masters or a Wimbledon. You're Scott Van Pelt or something like that, not as opposed to just the football guy.
But that's not my job. Like I'm not a quarter. Like there are hosts who are great at what they do, and that's not where I have practiced my craft. Now I've done my podcast, the Adam Schefter podcast, for that reason alone. I wanted to gain experience in a different format, hosting and transitioning and asking questions and discussing, just to give myself a little bit more,
versatility, more fun, a little,
versatility, right? It would be like if all of a sudden Aaron Donald's catching passes, in summer training, they're going to use him on the goal line, or he's playing special teams.
They should have. They should have used him on the damn goal line.
Right? Yeah, the more you can do. So
yeah, exactly.
I've loved doing the podcast like that, but I'm not going to be a better host than Laura Rutledge or Scott Van Pelt or Mike Greer. Like that's not happening. So, and they're great at what they do. And I don't want to be, and I don't try to be. Again, I'm happy to be included in whatever ESPN wants to include me in. And I love being a part of the teams, whether it's Sunday Countdown, Monday Night Countdown, NFL Live, Sports Center, Get Up, whatever it may be that I'm on. That to me, it's fun when you feel like you are included.
Yeah. You're always working, right? So we talked about this past in the podcast. Like what's considered your off season? Do you like your off time that you can kind of like shut down for a minute? I know you say you're always working, but everybody needs some type of time to reload, a couple of days, a week, whatever it is, a weekend. Yeah. What is that time for you?
Yeah, we go back to, like I said to my wife on Sunday morning, we're sitting there and I'm like,
more than a day, Adam. More than a day.
Yeah, I know.
When you can get at least
I'll
3
say
days.
This, Aaron, I will say this. When we get past the draft, right, and get to May 1 or so,
Mm-hmm.
If I'm going to be completely honest, May and June, I'm working, I'm on alert, my antenna's up. But if you're not going to take a moment then to decompress and unwind, then you're probably not doing it right. Like, I'm going to be 60 years old this year, 60 years old. And like I said, I love
good,
what I
Adam.
do.
You look
Thank
good,
you.
man.
Thank you.
Damn,
Appreciate
okay.
that.
You old
You
as
do
hell,
look good,
though,
man.
but
Hey,
you
you
look
better
good.
you better not have a 60 blowout celebration and
You
answering
don't
your
look
phone.
60,
You
Adam.
promised
That's
us that,
crazy.
right?
You don't look 60 at
Actually,
all.
my family and I were going to go away for a few days, the four of us.
There you go.
Kind of celebrate them, but we'll do that at a point before the craziness begins. And we never do that. Never, like before my 50th, a decade ago, my family had never been to Colorado, and Colorado is such a part of my soul, having spent 16 years there. I took them out to Colorado to stay there for a few days. They'd never been, and it was very nice. So we're going to do something similar this year.
Good, man.
But it's going to be, I think it may be, yeah, we'll see where it ends up being. But we're going to do something similar this year, and that'll be nice.
Okay. Damn, Adam, you 60? You don't look like that, man. You look good, man. You old
Aaron,
as hell,
Todd's old-
Adam.
Todd
You
looks
look
older
old,
than me,
you
right?
old as hell, but you look good. You look good.
Todd looks older than me, right?
Nah, Todd look good too. I ain't gonna shit on my guy, man. I can't shit
Todd,
on
how
my
old
guy.
are you now? Todd, we're about the same age, no?
You got me by 6 years.
Well, so
It's okay.
All right. Todd, I want you to guess, and AD, I want you to guess, how many text messages do you think Adam gets a day? And then he's going to tell us the answer.
He wouldn't even know. He's never counted, but
I don't even know.
Ballpark.
I get a lot
Over
of
100.
text messages. Yeah, easy
that's
over
what-
100.
I have no
Couple
Everybody gets
hundred
a lot.
a day, easy. That's
Yeah,
easy.
I just think there's certain peak periods. Like last week, woof, we could go through and count it. It'd be a lot last week, a lot. This week could be quieter. You get some, but you're not overwhelmed by them.
Yeah.
I think, again, everybody gets a lot of text messages in various lines of work. I'm not special or unique there.
You respond to everything? Because I know Todd,
Yes,
AD's
right
great
away.
at responding. Matt Ryan, awful. Todd, he's good, but you get back right away.
I am. People, my friends will tell you. Again, I don't have many gifts in life. I'm not as strong and tough as Aaron. I'm not as smart as Todd. I'm not as good looking as Uzak, but I am the quickest responder to everybody always.
even in your personal life, even friends.
Yeah.
Anybody that texts me gets an answer within seconds, unless like I'm on a podcast or I'm on TV. If you don't get a response within seconds, it just means but I would say 97, 98% of the people that text me have a response within seconds.
Wow.
I have friends that laugh. They're like, we have a bet, if the response will come in under 5 seconds. Like, that's what I do.
I don't
That's
know
why you the
but
source, man. You always get back to everybody.
He's,
you
he's
know?
locked in. I don't know you, Schefter, but I think I know you in terms. You seem like just good people, right? And you don't get to where you're at in life without having strong relationships with people. And to me, it's the hardest part of the job is getting close to people and having to do a story on them or their franchise or their whatever they might be dealing with. Is that the quote unquote hardest part for you?
Well, again, it doesn't happen very often like that, where like I don't know, Zach, you're getting close to somebody, and then I'm making this up. They're arrested for DUI, right? Like I don't know, like if somebody does something and then they're going to get reported on. Like, don't do that.
But you report on it, but you also you break down things. So if you're tight
Don't
with a
do it.
coach or an agent or something like that, and then you're critical of them, right?
My job isn't to be critical. My job is to present facts.
It ain't personal. It's just business.
My job is to okay. Like, by the way, there were people that were highly critical of the Baltimore Ravens last week. So I presented other people's side and I presented the Ravens side, and you decide what you think is right on that trade. Like, I'm not taking a side. Here's what other teams think. They think that the Ravens got cold feet and backed out. Well, the Ravens did get cold feet, but here's why they got cold feet.
Yeah.
And you make the decision, right? So I'm not siding with people. I try not to do that. I try to just present factual information. You can't go wrong presenting the truth.
Well said, brother. AD, what do you think, man? You gonna get in the insider game?
I can't. Adam got that, man. He got that on lock, man. He got all that on lock. He got that. I keep hearing that.
It never stops, and it happens to my
Adam,
daughter too.
We appreciate you. I do. I
Yeah.
appreciate you coming on, giving us
For
some
sure,
time.
man.
I know that you had that McAfee thing. You're awesome. Appreciate the relationship we have, and you do an unbelievable job. Trustworthy, respectable, bust your ass. All the success you have, you deserve, and then some. We appreciate you jumping on with us. Thank
I'm
you.
honored to be with you guys. You all do a great job in your own respective fields, and it's an honor to be with all of you today. Hey, I'm glad we didn't get interrupted too many times here. It's very nice.
Yeah, appreciate
Adam,
you,
enjoy
man.
your afternoon, man. Hope you get some time off.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys.
Hey, hard work pays off, big guy. Hard work pays off. Keep it up, man.
I have no imminent news for you immediately, so just so you know.
Hopefully something soon here.
Yeah, I got you. Thanks, guys.
Nice job, AD. You got him going. You confirm what sources told you about Adam Schefter.
Well,
breaking news in bed.
He answered it without answering it. Once he brought the wife up, I left it alone. I was like, I don't want to get nobody in trouble at the house, man. That's the worst when you got to deal with something at the house. Your house is your safe place. You don't want no problems at the house.
That's right.
You know, that's your safe place.
Hey, you didn't rat on him. He was the one who brought it up on in a national podcast.
That's why I tried to ask it without asking it. Like, you try to jump around the question a little bit. You understand what I'm saying? But it was good, man.
Yes.
High energy. It's like it's all over the place. It's like I only can imagine, like, shh. So I like Adam. That was my first time I felt like really talking to Adam. So he was great. And
Todd, I know you go back with him, right? I mean, all these years. So how do you deal with a guy like that who's super trustworthy, and the information's rock solid, and then you have these other guys out there that just seem to sometimes, at times, throw stuff to the wind that see what will stick, and then what ripple effects does that cause with your world, your agency's world, when that information's not correct?
Well, it's funny. First of all, yes, Adam does do a great job. And with the media, I am not known to be a media guy. Generally speaking, if you ask all of your beat writer type guys in their cities that are doing their jobs, I respect that. I'm non-responsive. I'm sure it sucks. I'm sure I'm annoying. I'm sure they hate me, and I'm sure they're frustrated. And I get it. They're trying to do a job. I'm trying to do a job also. And I don't necessarily see the benefit of winning the battle and losing the war by coming out and putting information out there that could potentially upset what I'm trying to accomplish. At the end of the day, all I want to accomplish is getting the deal done for the player, whether that be a trade, whether that be, his draft situation, whether that be a contract. So I don't really engage much with them. But there's times you catch me and I may have not be in a good mood or something like that. And it happened multiple times actually in Indianapolis. And probably one of the most infuriating, and I don't even know why I let it bother me, because most of the time I just let it roll off, but it was just everywhere. And I actually posted it on Instagram, shockingly, which was me walking to meet the Dallas Cowboys on their bus, because there were so many rumors that I allegedly asked for $10 million a year for Brandon Aubrey. And it's just like copy and paste, and just ends up everywhere. And eventually, I called out one of the writers who said something, and he came out on Instagram or whatever and apologized or whatever. But there's still others that are still saying the same thing from that market, that, the agent asked for this. And it's infuriating that there's no accountability. I can't sit there and go attack each one, but it's really annoying because they have agendas and it's really obvious how they operate. What are you doing?
Wait for it. This is Todd's Instagram.
No, that was not mine.
So when Todd walked out with his Instagram post, that was the music in the background.
No, it was not. No, it was not.
It was yada yada, yeah, wasn't it?
No, dude, it was. I'll show it to you.
Am I wrong on that?
Yeah, you're wrong on that. I love that. I love the song, but that was not it, pal. Here, this.
Man,
bad reporting, bad sources, AD, bad sources.
Started from the bottom, now my whole team. Started from the bottom, now we
Hold on, how you go from Drake to Snoop? How you?
Zach doesn't know what he had for lunch today, so he's a typical reporter, false reporting.
Well,
just
I think,
so on cue. I'm literally telling him how false reporting drives me nuts, and he literally, while I'm sitting here in front of me, false reports.
I just think I'm still blown away that the fact that Todd posted A on Instagram and B went with like a really good song to
Somebody
talk
posted
about
it
his
for him.
story.
Somebody posted
Correct.
it for him.
Someone posted it for him. I don't know. I don't know how to post.
Somebody
Whatever. I said what song I wanted,
sure.
though. I feel like I started from the bottom, and so I felt that applied. And since it was about my guy Brandon Aubrey, I feel like he started from the bottom, and he's here. So I felt like that was appropriate as I was walking onto the Dallas Cowboys bus to have
It was great. It was an awesome post. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend everybody checking out Todd Shadows. It was like very artistic. You got the dark shadow going to the Death Star.
It wasn't meant to be. It wasn't meant to be. It was just doing a video walking onto a bus.
It was great.
My Instagram. But no, it is irritating. And so you do respect the Adam Schefters of the world. And there's others like him that have accountability. actually care about what they put out. Don't want, I mean, he wants to be first. He wants to break things, just like, Ian Rappaport does or whoever does. They all want to be, but like to hold off and not do it if it's not right, or to make sure, and that maybe that extra minute to make sure and verify is what made him not be the first one, but he's okay with that because he'd rather be right. And that's why he is where he is. This misinformation out there and this just putting stuff out there so the talk shows can have conversations and they never verify. And, and they just take the one-sided story. It drives me nuts. Actually, I shouldn't say it drives me nuts. It's unfortunate. Sometimes it bothers me, but most of the time you have thick skin and you just roll with it. But that Aubrey stuff that was just constant during Combine week was just so annoying and so inaccurate. And they corrected it, and then some did correct it. Just
what I'm saying, would they just make the shit up, or somebody and with the front office just put something out to make a quick little, you know what I'm saying? That's what I think it'd be more than I'm just making up something. It's like
I'm not going to say what I think it is, but you can.
I kind of know
you're not,
what it is.
You're not off base.
Yeah. Okay.
Listen,
so I know what kind of happened then.
There's teams that leak stuff out.
Yeah,
there's teams that leak stuff out there because they want the player to look like he's greedy to the fans, and that fans turn on him and all that stuff. Listen, everyone's got their strategies. I just try to stay quiet and do the right thing and the fair thing for a player and get him the right deal. I can't worry about all the riffraff and all the noise. At the end of the day, I know the good news is I really keep my clients in the loop. So the Aubreys in this case, yes, you do too. They knew what we were doing, what we were asking for, so they were very well aware of what was real and not. Can you imagine if you didn't do that? And then that came out, and then they were like, oh my God, why are you, that's crazy. And all of a sudden they're mad at you. Like, no, educate, communicate, and make sure everyone's on the same page, because
that's exactly what you do.
Yes, exactly. I mean, heck, how many times you and I were doing Zooms on
fucking Zoom, breaking down to a T. Like, this is, I love this shit. Okay, because you get a better understanding of what's going on, with how to break down a contract, how you can get it over the, you know what I'm saying? So it was great to do that, get that knowledge and be like, oh, all right, this is, hey, Ty, let's do that. Or, you know what I'm saying? So I know you communicate. Everybody's on the same page before you say anything or bring anything to the table, period. So
so if something came out
you
wrong.
for your guys, though. Yeah, it was best for your guys, too.
And if someone came out wrong, you would know. And you'd be like, that's
some bullshit. Yeah.
Well, that's why I asked Schefter about the leverage game. People leaking something to him that it gets out there and leverage, and he doesn't fall for that based on relationships. But the point is that there are people that do. And it seems like something was leaked to a media member, because
the word leverage is wrong. Will they use the media in a way that is advantageous for themselves in a I'm not trying to be so villainistic. Yeah. But do they have an agenda with what they're doing? Is there a method behind the madness of their information leak? 1,000%. But I wouldn't sit here, and I wouldn't want Adam or anyone else to sit here and think that they're being leveraged. I think people think
deception, no. But the team could say, listen, we want to pay wide receiver X. In reality, they don't want to really give it to that person because they want to go with the second player. So they're going to talk to the media. They're going to get it out there. Hopefully maybe a deal does or doesn't come through so they can go down to what they really, really, really want to do.
That, and then everyone else can just do what they want. They can guess. If you have two thumbs or fingers and you can type and you have an account, then you can put stuff out there, and you can even get a blue check now. I mean, so it doesn't.
You can buy one.
The information is out there and it's wrong. I actually feel bad for the average person who reads that just doesn't understand that what you're reading is not necessarily true, or actually could be completely false. Because back in the day when you read things, you assumed it was what it said it was. I mean, look, I've had misinformation out there, in this case I just told you about, and it's frustrating, but you also just have to navigate, and you have to know how to navigate. Just like Adam knows how to navigate his field to figure out what news is coming down around the corner before it comes out. That's what he's trying to do. Those things happen if you're a good agent. You're navigating in your conversations with the media and with teams and players, and just to try to get the most information to be able to navigate and put the pieces of the puzzle together, because every piece of puzzle that gets put together has a ripple effect on something else. All moves affect something else. It's just like I was
asking about the Dolphins wide receiver.
Yeah. I mean, and if I'm not on social, if I don't know about that, and I did find out about that actually from Schefter, because he texted me about the trade and said, I got to get on McAfee. And I was like, what trade? He told me. I was like, boom. I want to make sure I let my guy know that in real time. I don't want to be the guy who calls my guy 7 hours later, especially because it could have been that if my guy had just signed in Denver and then Waddle was traded to his team, it would be a negative impact on my guy, right? He just signed. He was hoping at opportunities, and boom, they just traded for a big receiver.
See, that's the thing. That's the thing that kind of like, I never experienced free agency or nothing like that. But as far as like being on a team and you just, as a player, not even knowing you're going to be traded, then you get traded somewhere else and then you get a phone call. That's how that shit be working?
It can. If you're not an agent, you're not on top of it. You got to be on top of it. I think I talked to you about the Aqib Talib story. I mean, I had a conversation with LA, when I knew, we were looking to move Aqib, and I said, work with me on it. And he did a deal with somebody else, and we didn't want to go there. And that GM, when they called me, were all excited. Hey, can you put me on with your player? I'm like, he's not coming there. He doesn't want to be there. And the trade fell apart. I got the trade to fall apart because the new GM doesn't want a guy who doesn't want to be there. And then we did the deal with you guys with the Rams. But so a good agent's going to be on top of it. You got to have an idea where your guys are. And also, if you have enough relationships, the GMs know that they should be talking to you and working through you on it. The reason they don't, and I think I said this before, the reason they don't is because if Aaron Donald is my guy and they're trying to trade you and Zach's the GM and the deal doesn't fall and the deal falls through, but I knew about it and you then found out about it, you're going to feel some sort of way that they were trying to get rid of you type of thing.
Yes,
right?
Yeah.
And so they don't want that to happen because, like Adam said, deals fall apart. So, I mean, you can imagine what the Crosby situation, how he feels or doesn't feel, and I'm sure that's all fine. But at the end of the day, you don't want to necessarily know a team's shipping you out if they don't ship you out, and then you're stuck being there, and then they look at you a certain way. You got to be in the building every day. A lot of GMs don't necessarily want to have that communication with an agent, unless it's someone they trust and respect. I'm like, bro, I'm going to work with you. I'm not trying to do something to have my player feel bad by being at work either. Don't get me wrong, but it also helps me understand if they're trying to get rid of him, even if they don't, it shows what they think of his future. It makes me realize that that's not our home, whether it's now or later, and it helps me start strategizing too.
Yeah.
Aaron, play the hypothetical game with me. You're with the Rams. You had an epic run. You ask for a trade. The Rams trade you to the Baltimore Ravens. You post on your Instagram thanking everybody in LA for an unbelievable run. It's time for the next chapter. You show up in Baltimore on the jet. You go through the walkthrough, the physical. You're feeling great. And the next thing you know, the trade doesn't go through and you got to go back to the Rams. What do you think Max Crosby's feeling, and how would you have reacted if that went down with you?
I don't know what Max is feeling, but for me, it'll be a little awkward. I feel like it's like you move on, then you go back to it's like, I'll feel a little uncomfortable on it because it's like, I didn't want me. We made the trade, and then however it fell through, it didn't fall through, and now I'm back in your household again. For me, I'll feel uncomfortable. Now, I don't know how I'll feel, like would I want to be there? Would I want to stay there? I'll be like, I'll kind of be more trying to figure something else to trying to go somewhere else. That's just me. I don't know how Max feel, but me personally, I don't know if I'll be comfortable in that building. That's just me, though.
You could look at it the other way, Zach. You said, they didn't want him, right? How about that? Maybe they did want him. Maybe that they just had enough respect for him because he's been such a long tenured guy there and he wanted to be out and they are in a rebuilding phase. So they honored his request to go out.
That's what I'm saying. So it's a mutual thing. So that's like me being like, okay, I don't want to be here. I appreciate the organization. I appreciate everything I did. I just want to go somewhere. I want to win. I don't want to go through the rebuilding stage. Find me somewhere to go. You shit me out. We agreed to it. I'm gone now. And then whatever happened, the physical thing didn't fall through. And now I'm back with that team again. It's like, I don't want to be there. We already agreed that we gonna separate, and now I'm back we're back in this relationship again. Like for me, I'll be like, I'm calling Todd, like, let's figure somewhere else to go. Like, these are the teams that I would like to play for, that I feel like I can win with. I don't know. Let's try to make something work. That's just me though. I don't know how Max feel, but that's just how I would feel towards the situation. It ain't no bad blood. Like, he's mad at the Raiders and nothing like that. It's just business.
No.
It ain't nothing personal. It's just business. Yeah.
And just to be clear, when I said they, Todd, I was talking about they being Baltimore didn't want Max, because it leads me to this question about physicals, right? So let me ask you about this. Is there a way, because we've talked about this, when you do, you're shaking your head, you know where I'm going with this. Is there a way to do physicals where it's kept quiet, that's done beforehand? What can you do if you were representing AD to make sure that these things coming off an injury, that it can be done, everybody knows it's going down before the trade or even it gets out there? Can that be done?
I don't know anything, so I'm not opining on this specific situation. But in general, people are like, they knew he had surgery. Yeah, they did. But if I was guessing, I don't think I guess one issue could be, God, he's way behind on where they thought he would be on that recovery, where he should be. But I doubt it's that. I think he's probably where he's supposed to be, and they knew that, and they expected that, and they're okay. If I was a betting man, I would say when the doctors looked at his stuff, again, an opinion, no information whatsoever, but just a general thing that maybe a team sits there and says, you know what? Yeah, he'll recover from this and he'll be ready for camp, but he's got degenerative knee and arthritic and blah, 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 blah. And if we're giving
That always is
2 first-round picks, they don't want him for just this season. They're wanting him for 4 years at least, or 3 or 4. I mean, shoot, I'd argue more than 4 years because you give up 2 ones, right? I mean, it's a first-round pick. If you're going to invest in a guy like that, it's 4 plus a team option. So you got to be thinking, we want this guy for 4 or 5 years of solid football. If they feel medically that his something in his body, whether it be the knee that he had the thing on, whether it be a different knee, whether it be something else, that he's not going to be that guy that he is today in 2 or 3, 4 years down the road because of arthritis or whatever, I'm going to pull that trade off. It isn't about the immediate recovery of his knee today. It's about the big picture long-term for what I'm giving up and what I need to get. That, to me, if I was a betting man, what I would say is going on with a trade situation where a guy's like, no, we're not going to go for that. That's my opinion. And again, I don't know anything,
And what year,
but it wouldn't surprise me.
And what year is this for Max? This is year 10, 11?
He's 28. The first year was 2019, 4th round pick.
So this is his age 29 season is how the league looks at it. His birthday's in August. So you'd want him 29, 30, 31, 32.
So this is like his 8th year in the league?
I mean, I guess.
Am I wrong? Oh, he's still young.
Yeah. So I mean, you got four
Yeah,
years.
I think he'd be good though. But I thought he'd be like year 10, 11. He's still young. Year 8, that's still.
It's just more about medically. Do they think that's going to be an issue?
But I know it's their opinion. It's what they did. I'm
not saying he will or won't.
You just never know. Yeah, you just never know though.
I could be completely wrong. I'm just saying in general, teams will look and say,
yeah. Correct.
This is a guy. I mean, no different than the draft. Guys will drop down in the draft. They'll be either medically rejected off of a team's board, won't touch them. Could be a guy who gets downgraded and goes down around because they think he's a guy that might need to be managed medically, right? We limit his reps. We got to be careful with him during practice. We can't run him into the ground. And then there's others that they say he's going to go down even further because for us, he's not a second contract guy, meaning we're going to get him and we'll be fine for the X years, but we're not going to be able to keep him, for a second deal because we just don't think medically the knee or whatever it is going to hold up.
And I'm just saying, if Max was with the damn Ravens, it would have been. Like,
that's also probably why they paid. That's probably why they paid a premium. They thought that maybe they were one player away, and that player was the difference maker in making a run. That's why they probably did it.
But it's different from a Crosby. Not saying Henderson, he's a good guy. He's gonna get you double-digit success. But it's different from you got a dominant player that can affect the game in so many different ways, right? Consistently. That's what I look at it. It's like, Henderson, a good football player, can rush the passer, but Max can do it all. He's a game changer.
Time out.
It's different.
Can we go back for a second? I just had a thought. Did Aaron Donald ask Schefter, does he not wash his ass? Like, did he say that?
Because he said he don't got time to shower. He said, I can't even
Yeah, but
get
how
in the
about
shower.
you have dirty? Is your hair dirty? Like, what did you go straight down to?
Adam, what you saying? You don't wash your ass? That's what you're telling us right now?
I mean, what was that?
As a grown man, I just need to understand because I got at least shower 2 times.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. That was like my ADD kicking in. I just literally, it flashed back in my head. I had to go back to that. Oh,
I'm like, I got time to shower. So what you doing, big guy? Taking whole baths.
Hey, one quick question. Do teams have to tell you, Todd, what part of the physical they failed?
No, I don't think they have to tell you. I don't believe. I would find out 1,000%. And I'd get all the images and all that for sure. Probably already knew that.
Right.
I mean, if it is a knee and my guy was having knee surgery, I would have talked to the doctor and not only found out about the current prognosis, but I'd find out big picture and I probably would have known if it was something like that. But I'm not even saying it is. It could have been, by the way, nothing to do with the knee. It could be some other body part. It could be that, or maybe they,
you just never know.
Maybe they just got cold. Who knows? I'm just saying, if it was something like that, I see it being more not the immediate situation. I see it being the bigger picture.
No, it's just interesting. AD, you remember you were talking about before the combine about all the probing and probing. Everybody kind of gets you with the physicals. One of the Georgia football players, Oscar Delp, was going to go through drills. He goes through the medicals the next day, and they found a hairline fracture in his foot that he didn't know he had. He played the entire season with. So, they do their homework. To your point,
they do their homework.
They're figuring out what's going on. They're finding if anything impossible could be going wrong,
they're gonna find it out. Before they invest their money in it. Makes sense.
That was a good show, gentlemen.
Yeah, it was.
Todd, AD, go take a shower. Gentlemen, enjoy the day. We appreciate everybody's time. Thanks for hanging out with us on a fun episode with Adam Schefter on the Inner Circle Podcast. Hit the like, subscribe button, and we'll see you next week here on the Inner Circle Pod. Much love, everybody. Talk soon.